My question for you was going to be, what have you found to be the most lucrative medium to seek voice work, whether it be a platform like Casting Call Club, like VAC, through means of a talent agency, or simply through like communicating with people over Discord and having connections like that? Twitter. What have you found to be the most lucrative medium that you found the most roles through as far as voice work is concerned?
Well, first of all, I just want to say like the most lucrative form of voice acting is probably commercial work, which is the thing that is really, in my personal opinion, it's not that fun, but it's the thing that will actually pay your bills and get you through. Like, it's actually like the most, it pays the most. Um, Character work is a bit more fun, but it doesn't pay as much. But for me personally, I just started out, finding things online, and I used Casting Call Club, and sometimes my friends would just send me stuff. Um, I don't currently have an agency, so I don't know how that would work necessarily, because I've only been here like 2 months, and I kind of want to build a commercial reel first, because agents like to look for that. They want to know if you're marketable for commercial work as well as character work. Even if you don't book commercial work, they still want to know that you can do it, because that's their job, is to, as an agent, that's what they're supposed to do. So I think that's where people get most of their work, is through an agency, because they can get they go on behalf of the voice actor. They get roles, but I have several friends who still don't have agencies, and they get roles just because of references from, or sorry, not references, but referrals from other people who know them because they've worked with someone. And so I feel like I didn't really answer the question about me personally. I don't know. I think it's just kind of all over. I don't think there's like one specific place that I personally felt that I made like that was the most lucrative for me. Definitely, when you make friends and you're able to network with people, and you make a name for yourself, like, oh hi, I'm this nice person, and then they remember, oh, that person was nice, maybe I'll throw them some auditions my way. That can help a lot, especially if you are out in the like LA area or Texas. Like referrals are how people mostly get cast, because it's not so much like, at least in my experience, but I've only been here for 2 months, so take that for as you will.
Nice. That was a really informative answer. Thank you so much for that. And Scott, again, thank you so much for coming through and assisting me in this little bit of a troublesome night that we've had. I really appreciate your help, and truly thank you so much. I'm gonna go ahead and bump you out so I can start answering other questions, assisting Michelle in answering other questions. So yeah, bye Scott. Thank you. Woo, sorry I had to butt him out before. So let's...
That's okay. Did you put away your cat?
Yeah, I put away my cat and I got a tissue and I'm good to go. So let's go ahead and continue off. I'm unsure if he asked this question. I don't think he did. He was asking you about commercial. So Blaze / Dom asks, how did you become a voice actor for AFMAO at some point? So actually, let's do a double whammy for this. How did you become a voice actor, and then how did you become a voice actor for AFMAO?
Okay, so I became a voice actor because that was back when I was like 14. I'm old. So I found this site called Voice Acting Alliance Forum after I watched a project that Kira Buckland was in, and I was really excited, like, oh my gosh, you can do this, like, you can do this from your room, you could be the voices of things, like, and so it was like really exciting. And I found the site because of her. She's actually my inspiration for voice acting is Kira. So it's really cool that I'm lost my train of thought, but so I started at the voice acting lines forum, and I just auditioned for stuff and was kind of doing it as a hobby. For about like 10 or say math, about 8 years or so,
Okay.
something like that. And then I went to college and I went to Japan, and so it was kind of a little bit harder to do voice acting. But then in the last 3 years, I decided to pursue it more professionally because I was like, this is what I really want to do. Particularly after I took a class, I took Bang Zoom's class, an ADR class with Tony Oliver. And when I got behind the microphone, I was like, this is what I'm supposed to do. Like, this is the
this
place
is your
I
call.
feel the most. Yes. And it was like, even though I was playing a different character, it was the first time in my life where I felt that I was truly me. Like, I wasn't worried about what anyone was thinking about me or judging me. I wasn't scared about being like an awkward potato. You know, like this is what I'm supposed to do, and that motivated me to actually make plans and try my very best to move out here.
Nice.
And so, in terms of AFMAO, I kind of addressed like it a little bit. So I'll go through it a little bit quicker, so I won't ramble. Though I like to ramble, I guess.
It's totally okay.
So my friend Kellen messaged me at like 3 in the morning and said, "Hey, you know, we have these parts available for this show called AFMAO." I'm like, "What's that?" Because I don't pay attention to things. And so he's like, "So yeah, you want to audition? Sure. Okay, it's due in like 2 hours." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And so I recorded it and I sent it in. I was like, "I'm sleepy. I'm going to bed." And then that's when I got cast for the role of Dimitri. And then it was kind of a smaller part, but I was really excited because I got to be a boy. And that's like, I really like playing boys.
I love boy
because they're
characters as well. They're so fun because it's so different from what we're used to, you know, being like girly girls or just a girl in general. Like I can be a little boy. It can work out. So that's
Yeah,
cool.
it's like my favorite role. It's very weird, but and then kind of how she does it is that when she has other casting calls or she's looking for more characters, she'll send it out to the current actors that she already has, and that's when I got cast as Emmeline and Lord Haley. And again, when I feel bad for saying this, but when I never watched the series, so when I got the script, I was just like in the moment, just reading it, and after I was done, I was like, I have no idea what I just said. I don't know, I don't know what's happening in this scene. I don't know.
I feel like sometimes it's totally okay though, because we have so much that we do as voice actors and so many lines that we have to read. Like sometimes it's so difficult to sit down and watch. And AFMAO has about like 6 seasons. Nancy, one of my helpers, is a huge fan. So hey Nancy, she gave me the rundown on AFMAO. She's like, there's 6 seasons of this and 3 seasons of this, and it's a lot. It definitely is.
Yeah, like when I think I joined season, was it 5? It's either 5. Yeah, I think it was 5. If 6 is the last one, then I joined 5. So I was like, I don't think I can watch 4 seasons before I can record these lines. So
Right.
here you go.
Here, this is what I got. That's awesome.
Here it is. Here's my attempt. Here you go.
Well, you do a great job in it, so it's definitely okay. I did hear some of your
thank you.
some of it, and I was like, oh my god, that's Michelle. I'm gonna be talking to her. So it was a really cool thing. Let me go ahead and go, because I feel like this next question must be your biggest fan on this Discord right now, and her name is Lynn, and she says, hello. Lethal League is such a comfort game. She said that all in caps. What was the characterization process like? Did you have to collab with any other voice actors for something? Also, thank you so much.
Aw, well, hi, Lynn. For that game, since it hasn't come out yet, I can't really talk too much about it. But I can say that when it was directed over Discord, and it was just the director and I. And it was really fun because I got to, you know, he had his own, like the script, but I also had the ability to play around a little bit with the characters. So kind of like not necessarily straying too far away from her original idea, but it was, and I don't know if some of those lines will get kept, but it was really fun to like branch out. And, you know, for those of you who have played Lethal League, you know, it's kind of like, you know, you hit things and you kick things, and that was really fun to be like, and like, you know, be all aggressive and stuff. But But yeah, it was really fun. I had a ton of fun. And I wish I could talk about it more, but I think it's
Yeah.
coming out soon. It should be coming out next. I don't know actually when it's coming out.
Well, it's
If
coming
you
out soon.
follow their Twitter plug, if you follow their Twitter for updates, they'll probably tell you.
I mean, it's a really hard thing to have to go through when you're asked questions, specifically when you're under an NDA. Which, for anybody who's listening and doesn't know what an NDA is, that is a non-disclosure agreement. And basically, what that means, so they send you a really nice contract saying, "Do not talk about it." And so you kind of gotta wait it out for a few months, maybe even a year, maybe a few weeks, maybe a few days. It depends. But thank you so much for at least trying to tell us a few things. We really appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Let's keep on going.
I like to call NDAs,
Oh yeah.
I like to call them no, darn it. Ah!
That's a good one.
That was actually out of order.
Was it?
No,
No, it wasn't. It was no darn it.
No, okay, cool. Yeah, my dyslexia didn't actually get there. Cool. I feel accomplished. All right, sorry, moving on.
I'm gonna start using that from now on. Every time I'm gonna talk about it, I'm gonna be like, "It's a no darn and then that's gonna be my new joke. And I'm gonna be like, brought to you by Michelle Marie. So we have a next question from Anthony. He's also one of our helpers. Real quick, shout out to Anthony, Nancy, and Quinny, because they're all three of them are my helpers, and they do so well in keeping me sane. So yeah, he asked, what microphone do you use? And while we're on that question, what's your setup in general? You know, what type of microphone? Do you use an interface? What do you use to edit? Those types.
Well, I use Adobe Audition, which I find works best for me because I was part of the old school. This is how you know I'm old, because I was using Cool Edit Pro, and that just morphed into Adobe Audition. So I was like, okay, cool. So I don't even think Cool Edit Pro is around anymore. I don't know. But so I use that to edit, and I usually for professional auditions, I usually just remove the background noise and make it louder because they really don't like you to mess with it too much. Although, different companies and studios will tell you specifics. But if not, then it's just a good idea to remove the background noise. And then for me, I make it louder because I always turn my gain down a lot because I have a loud voice.
It's a Hispanic thing.
And so, like, I have to turn it back up again so people can actually hear me. In terms of equipment, I just have my microphone, and people might be surprised to know that it's actually what is it? It's a USB. There we go. It's a USB mic, and oh, gasp! How could I? Because some USB mics are not very good.
Right.
But the thing is mine. I don't even. It's not really that special of a microphone. I think it's like a. What is it called? I don't know, there's a lion on it for a logo.
Okay, we'll search that one up. Someone search up
lion.
It's
Mark CV1.
Oh, okay, there you go. All right.
Which I don't know. But the thing that I've learned about stuff is that great word. The things I've learned is that unless you're recording your audio for, like, your finalized audio from your recording space, you don't necessarily need the most expensive or the most amazing microphone ever, because if you're going to be called into a studio, they just want to be able to hear you. So treating your space, making sure that there's no echo, and making sure that the microphone is a condenser microphone. That's very important because it's sensitive enough to pick up your voice, but it won't be blown out if you actually yell. So that's what I have, and that's what I've been using. And I know that some people have, like, recording booths, like the portable booths. I actually just use my roommate's bedroom, because he's treated the whole room with, like, foam, and it's like it's not echoey at all in there. And he's very kind and lets me record in there because there's kind of not a lot of room to build my own in my room. And so then I just use a pop filter and mic stand. It's pretty basic stuff. And so I think that for now, for what I'm doing, that's really good. But I think it's important to understand and realize that if you're starting voice acting, or even if you've been doing it for a couple years and you feel like, oh, my setup's not that good, or I need fancy stuff, you don't necessarily need fancy stuff.
Right.
to start out with, or to even do voice acting. It's just that if the company that you're working for is very specific about their audio requirements, then that's when you might have to do that. But often, if it's not remote, they will call you in to record anyway because they want to mess with all the your audio anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, and that brings up a good point too, because I feel sometimes people want to get the most expensive mic, and now you just gave them kind of like a little, I guess, a cheat sheet that yes, you can have a really good mic, or you can have a really good space, and not the. Sometimes I feel like it's not the mic, Michelle, because sometimes for example, I have my AT2020 that I use, and I'm currently inside my closet with foam. But if I step out of my closet with foam and go into like my just the bedroom, it's gonna sound weird, and I'm gonna sound way off in audio because there's nothing that kind of keeps the sound. So I feel like it does depend where
Right.
you are, and as well as when someone calls you, when a company calls you into their studio, they're not gonna care what mic you use, because the whole point is that they have you go into their studio. So at that point, you're
And
fine.
in my oh sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's fine. And-
Just in my experience, sometimes like it's not the best, but you can even record audio on your phone if you can't get the audition in by the deadline. If that's the only way you can record it, they do accept that. Well, again, make sure if you're submitting to a studio that they specifically say that you can do that, because some studios are very picky.
Right.
But you are allowed to do that sometimes. It's not the best, but if you really can't, then that's okay.
So actually, let's bring up the fact that you're on your phone right now. Everybody listening, her mic, she sounds so crisp. She's actually on her phone. You're on your phone. Yeah, we were
Yes,
having...
I'm on my phone because my computer hates me.
Let's just say Michelle and I have had technical difficulties.
I
since,
told you it's me.
No,
Oh, me.
it's not. It's not. I think it's generally the day. I don't know what's going on, but I'm glad. Luckily, we were able to fix that. And going back to what we were talking about in the sense of studios and stuff, does most of your work happen at studios? Do you usually go to studios? Do you do more at-home sessions?
Well, I would love to say that I go to the studio all the time, but I've actually only been once. Because it's it's quite competitive out here. And I just moved here 2 months ago. And so I think that that's okay that I haven't been called very much because I've just moved here.
Right.
But I do most of my recording from home. My auditions, and like for example, Lethal League I recorded from home. Crush I recorded from home. Brain Freeze, the song I actually recorded. That was the very last thing I recorded in my house in Oregon, so that adds another level of like specialness to that
Wow.
song.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I've only been to a studio once to record something, and I can't talk about that unless it comes out, or it's been 5 years. Thank you, no darn it.
Oh. I mean, let me tell you something. Actually, piggybacking from your from the brain freeze that you're talking about, the song, you just said right now that that you actually recorded that a few months ago, because like you said, you've been in LA for how long now? 2 months. So
Yeah, about 2. Yeah.
about 2. So what's really happening is that the amount of time that it takes for a project to go through, it's immense. It takes a long time, and I feel like sometimes people think, I record my lines, I send them in, and then 2 days later, the project will come out. And then that's the part we have to be like, well, no. Sometimes we record, and maybe 3 to 4 months later is the producer able to, finalize everything in the project and then be able to put it out. So it takes time. So sometimes, like,
It really does.
yeah, and like your NDA for Lethal League, as well as, probably I didn't see you post anything about brain freeze until recently. So, you know, you kind of have to keep it down on the low, and sometimes it might seem like someone is not doing a lot of work because they're not continuously posting, hey, I got this, or you can hear me on this. The reason why is because half of the time they do have a lot of work that they're doing, and and people who are listening, you might have a lot of work, but you can't talk about it. So it's very difficult sometimes to tell people. You just kind of look at people like, yeah, I'm doing work. What kind? Can't tell
I'm
you.
in stuff that I can't tell you about. Yeah,
Yeah.
I totally look legit.
Oh, no, you are. And also, real quick, I don't think I said it in the beginning. We were having so many technical difficulties, and I really didn't take the time. But Michelle, thank you so much for coming in, for dealing with our technical difficulties, for staying with us. For
It's
coming
fine.
in.
It's all good. It's life. I grew up in theater, so you know you got to do improv and go with whatever happens. As long as the show keeps going, the audience will never know. I mean, they knew this time, but I mean, that's how it works, right?
Yeah, it is. And actually, speaking about theater, how long have you been? How long were you in theater? You started voice acting at 14. How long were you in theater before then?
I started in theater when I was 3.
And you were in many productions? Like, what type of productions were you in?
When I was younger, they were mostly like ballet and tap dance.
Aw,
So I was in like Alice in Wonderland. I was a bunny.
Oh, you little
But that was like my first introduction to the play, or the play, to the stage. And then I was in theater all throughout middle school and high school. And I was very fortunate that my hometown has this amazing place called the Performing Arts Center, which is actually where I had my wedding, which is why it was really special to get married there. But it's a great place, you know, for not only shows, but for music and like orchestras to perform. And it's like a really, like the center of my little coastal town. That was like the hub where everything was happening. Like we had jazz festivals and everything. And it was integral to growing up in that, or to me personally, like I don't know if integral is the right word. Is a very important part of my life when I was growing up, was the Performing Arts Center, because it allowed me to be creative. And yeah, there were auditions, but you know, they, as a kid, they always would, you know, put you in like the ensemble role. Even if you didn't get a main role, you'd be in it somehow, so you get really great experience there. And that, you know, I've always loved acting and being characters, and you know, acting like someone who's not me, or like a facet of myself. So like I think I'm energetic sometimes when I'm happy, but if I play a character that's like, you know, super energetic, I cannot speak. I'm a voice actor and I can't speak. So if I play a character that's really energetic and like hyper, then that's really fun to be, if you know, to personify parts of yourself. And that's what you do when you act. You know, you find, you know, it's kind of a weird balance between being the character and being yourself. And so I think what I like to do is find something in that character that I relate with, and that's how I hook on to the character, and then I explore what that character is and adopt who they are while I play it, if that makes any sense.
It does. And honestly, as you were talking about that, you like, you know, playing different roles and different facets of yourself, I think it's such an important thing for everybody who's listening, as well as anybody who wants to be a voice actor or just an actor in general, to know all of these people, these characters stay with you in a sense. Like, you start seeing yourself compared to them in a way, you know, like the way they giggle, maybe, you know, that's how I really do giggle, or the way they think, like that's something that I would think too, you know, like you always find yourself somehow relating in some way to each character that you get. And I think that's really a job of the director to do that, you know, to pick someone who can really bring that character to life, and they stay with you throughout everything. I mean, even though in the About Me that we put for you, we only talked about a few roles that you've done plenty of roles, and which is so exciting. And the fact that you're able to sing, have you had roles where you where you voice and you sing at the same time? Like, has that happened already? Like, have you done a musical?
It's not like a Like You is kind of like that, because it's singing and acting like a tsundere, which is that song is I have feelings about that song. But yeah, that was a really fun experience because I got to over exaggerate the tsundere character type, the trope that it is, and yeah, I think that's the only thing that I've done where it's like singing and acting at the same time.
And that was
But I
actually your I'm
definitely
sorry.
like. Oh no, you're good. I'm just hoping that one day I'll have the opportunity to be a part of like an idol series, and then they're like, okay, we're gonna dub the songs in English. That's never gonna happen. But if they do, I will be there, and I will totally throw my name in if I get the audition, and I will be really happy to be a part of that.
Oh, well, I hope you get it. I feel you deserve it times 20. And actually, speaking about dub, not many people know, and you were actually kind of hinting at it, you do speak Japanese fluently? Or no?
Sorry, you cut out there for a second.
I'm
what?
sorry. I'm saying you do speak Japanese and fluently.
Oh,
Am
yes,
I correct?
yes, I do. Yes.
Awesome. And you said that you did go to Japan for a while. How was that experience?
Oh my gosh, it was amazing. I lived there for 2 years. I went to high school. After I graduated from high school here in the States, I went over for like a leap year for high school, and I was in Yamagata, Japan, which is like so beautiful. It's surrounded by mountains. Their local fruit is a cherry, and it's so good. And actually, they exchange fruit with Oregon, which I did not know until I went there, and I was like, yay,
Whoa,
connections!
that's awesome.
And there aren't very many cars, because there's so many people, and the transit system is amazing. You really don't need a car. Maybe out in the countryside you would, when there's not as many like trains, or they're not very often. They don't come as often. Then you might need that. But in Tokyo or the bigger cities, you can totally get anywhere with your bus pass or your train pass, and the food was amazing, and the people were so nice, and it was a wonderful experience. And I totally encourage anyone, if they ever have the opportunity to study abroad in another country, to do it. It's amazing. It not only broadens your worldview, makes you learn about yourself, and to find that even though someone's halfway across the world, they're very similar to you if you just talk to them.
Right.
But it also helps you learn more about the country that you live in. I know that learning Japanese actually helped me understand English a little bit more, if that makes any sense. Because when you are trying to learn another language, it kind of makes you aware of how someone else might learn your language. Because, like, for example, the thing that I realized is that in English we have goose and geese, right? But there's just moose. It's just moose. There's not mooses. It's just moose.
Oh, yes.
Like, what is that? Why is that? And there is no reason. It's just because English. That's why. And so, when you are able to reflect on that, then it's really hard to explain, but it was just amazing cultural experience, and I would totally go again. And when I was in college, I took my entire junior year and went to Tokyo, and that was really fun because it was an international school, so there were people from all over the world there, and they were all. What's funny is that someone spoke like Spanish, someone spoke French, German. There was a little bit of Arabic, and the only way we communicated was in Japanese.
Nice.
So
That's
it was
crazy.
like so cool. Like,
That's
oh my gosh, it was
crazy.
like so cool.
And let me tell you, this also helps you out with learning how to network with different people and learning how to speak and just socialize with different people. And that's a big thing in voice acting. As a voice actor, you need to learn how to market yourself. You need to learn how to speak to people of all kinds, to just get your point across, to learn about people, to be able to speak to casting directors, to be able to speak to game developers, to just learn how to speak in general to people is so important. And I think studying abroad is such an amazing thing because you get that experience where you gotta talk to someone, because if not, you're gonna be alone. You're gonna be pretty lonely, you know? So that's such a cool experience. Let's go ahead and bounce back, because I do have some more questions available. The Jedi Exile asks, what type of characters do you find the most fun to voice?
Definitely any boy character, because then I can be like completely opposite of myself. Yeah, those are my favorite. My absolute favorite is playing boy characters, and I've actually only had like 1 or 2 opportunities to do that. But I'm always grateful for those. Any character that's energetic, and just like full of energy, because that's super fun. Because when I was growing up, I was told that I was annoying because I was so like loud or energetic, and I'm like, fine, you know what? Look, I'm gonna be this annoyingly energetic character right now. I'm gonna have fun with it. So I guess it's kind of like, being like, well, I can do what I want, like.
Exactly.
I guess it's kind of rebellious in that sense, but it's also really fun to play a character that is sarcastic, and kind of not necessarily a jerk, but like, isn't gonna take anything from anyone, because that's something that I wish I could do more of. Because like my aunt is like, you tell her something, she's like, oh, that's your problem, I'm cool with me. I'm like, whoa, like I wish I could do that. I mean, she does it like really in your face, and I kind of admire her a little bit, because I'm like, I'm very shy in that sense. I mean, I stick up for myself, but it's more like, hey, that's not very nice, thanks, okay, bye. It's not like, hey, what you doing, what you saying to me, like that's how she is. And so if I can play a character like that, I'm like, yay, I get to tap into that, and it's not dangerous at all, because no one's gonna come at me.
Yeah, I feel like I'm also not very confrontational. I don't like it. Most of the times, like, I'll stay quiet. I'll kind of do the same, like, that's not, I didn't like that, and it's difficult, but it is so cool when you get to voice someone that you're not, that for you yourself you can't be, but you wish you were, and it just gives you that opportunity to really let loose. And I think a lot of the times when we do characters that we're not really used to, it gives us a sense of positivity and a little bit of motivation to be more like that character, even if it's a villainous character, because now more than ever, before it was very one-dimensional. You had your villain and you had your hero. Now things are changing. Now villains have backstories. Now villains, you understand why they're that way. They go through a sort of a moment of realization, and they switch around, they do a 180, they become a better person. There's a lot of that now, so there's a lot more ways for you to really stay in tune with whatever character it is, whether it be a little boy, whether it be the biggest villain ever, or whether it be a heroine that's in your face all the time and able to, punch you a few times if you need it. And that's a really cool thing. I think that was a great answer to give. And she also asks, which characters that you have voiced is your favorite role, and why? And while we're at it, if you want to add in, if you have any, actually, we'll ask that afterwards, because that's a good question to ask. But for now, yeah, let's go ahead and answer Jedi's as to who your favorite character is.
I can't decide. It's really hard, because I like them all for different reasons. Like, I played this character called Mimi, and she was a mermaid, but she was actually like a maid. She was a mermaid maid, which is hilarious because I love puns. And when I was younger, I always wanted to be a mermaid, so that was kind of like an actualization of a dream that I had. So that was fun. Gosh, I don't know my absolute favorite.
We can
That's
leave it
really
as,
hard.
we can leave it as all of them are your favorite then. That's fair enough. I think and I think it's good that all of them are your favorite, because there's really no sense in having like a top or the lowest one, because all of these are such good opportunities that come our way, right? These are things that we never thought we could do. And going back to what you had spoken about before, where you said you were kind of bullied in school in regards to being annoying. I know that feeling too. By the way, everybody who's listening, Michelle and I are both like almost the same person. It's kind of creepy, but it's cool. It's really cool, but we are. So when I was younger too, a lot of people would be like, you're so annoying, you're so loud. And now, you know, joke's on them, right? Because we're getting paid to do. We're getting paid to be annoying and loud.
We're getting paid to be loud and annoying. Yes.
You know, we have the upper hand now. You know, and not even upper hand. I just think sometimes you know, there's a lot of younger members that we have in our Discord, as well as just there's a lot of different ages spanning through our voice acting community, definitely. And I think it's a good thing for people to know that don't worry about the bullies. If you're in school, do not worry about them. If you're an adult, don't worry about them either, because there's adult bullies too. Because guess what?
Yeah, bullies never go away. They exist forever.
Forever.
Just in a different form.
I think I was bullied by my little cousin who's 4. I gave her my cracker because she's like, if you don't give it to me, I'm gonna do that. And I'm like, wow, okay, wow, this it's come full circle now, huh? So I mean, yeah, I think it never pay attention to what people say, because at the end of the day, you're getting paid to do what you love, and that's why you're in this community, because you want to do something that you love. And I honestly, Michelle, thank you like so much for bringing that out, because I feel like some people think that they're alone in that situation, and I think a lot of us voice actors get that, you know, have that issue.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty common like thread that a lot of voice actors, you know, actually most of us are like introverted, which is very weird to think about, but yeah, I mean, it's not so much as like, for me personally, it's not so much like, oh, haha, you know, I'm better than you now. It's more like, I knew that I was this type of person. Like, I knew that I could be strong. I knew that I could be successful. I knew that I could be, you know, like live up to my own image of like my ultimate self. I knew I could do that. And it was just the other people around me didn't believe that. And, you know, now that I can be this way, I'm like, you see, I proved it to myself. And so it doesn't even matter if I prove it to you anymore, because I proved it to myself. And that was what was really important for me, because, like, not to go too in depth, but I mean, like, middle school was really hard. I mean, the only person I know that enjoyed middle school was my husband. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? Like, he said, I love middle school. I'm like, what? Who are you and where are you? What is this? Because middle school's really hard, you know, everyone's like growing up, trying to figure out, am I still a kid? Am I an adult still? And then teachers are like, oh my gosh, you know, like it's a tough time. And I, you know, went through a stage where I was just like, you know, I hate myself, and I felt like I didn't want to exist anymore. And to compare that feeling to how I am now, like, I can't even, it's so different. And I'm like, wow, if I had given in to my own insecurities and, you know, listen to the really mean voice in my head saying you're not worth it, don't exist, then I wouldn't be able to experience what I have right now. And, you know, that also helps me to remain humble and to be grateful for all the opportunities I have, because I almost did that to myself. I almost snuffed myself out, and that's not good. That's really sad. And, you know, like, you're not alone. That's why in the voice acting community, it's always great to, you know, be, you know, genuine and humble and nice, because, you know, we're all going through something. And even if you don't specifically say what it is, you know, we all can relate somehow to having a struggle and going through something that really hurts. And I think that kind of pain and emotion can actually, you know, come through with certain characters that you play. And so, I mean, not that it's good that you suffered, because it hurts, but suffering is kind of necessary to life. It's unavoidable. And so I think to remind ourselves that we're not alone, that even though suffering is going to happen and we're going to feel, you know, pain, and people are going to pick on us or whatever, there are so many other people who are there to support us and to help us and to say, yeah, you did a great job, and, you know, you can do this. And so that's why I really like the voice acting community.
Right. And you know, going on to that too, speaking of support systems, not all of us have some. I will tell you right now, my support system is 2 people. And but what is your support system? And I really liked that you believed in yourself and that you focused on your happiness, because I recently learned nobody can support you like you support yourself. And that's a huge thing, because when there's people who don't have support, at all. Nobody cares about their voice
Yeah.
acting. And there's a few people in here who are going through that right now. And if you can just, you know, dive into a little bit of about what you think for support system and the need for it. What's your take on this?
Well, it's very interesting because I think there needs to be a balance between self-reliability and also relying on other people, because if you're too like self-sufficient, which I run into that problem sometimes, you can get exhausted and, you know, not actually ask for help when you need it, and that's something that I'm still working on. But in terms of self-reliancy, you know, never compare yourself to anyone else. Only compare yourself to how you were, you know, before. Like, it's easy to see other people getting roles and, you know, auditions and be like, oh, great, thanks for thinking of me. I suck, you know. But then if you compare yourself to how you were maybe like a year ago, you know, 5 years ago, I mean, I can compare myself to 10 years ago and be like, whoa, what a difference. You know, then it really puts it into perspective that, hey, you know, I'm doing fine. My path's my own, and I don't need to compare myself to other people. They may have been here longer than me. They have a different experience and life path than I do. And so they have different opportunities given to them, just like I will get certain opportunities that other people won't get, and they'll get some that I won't. It's kind of like, you know, I don't really know how to put it, but, you know, it's just that's how life is. And so not comparing yourself to other people, and then making sure that you know, be nice to yourself. Say, hey, you know, I had a tough day, but, you know, I don't need to beat myself up. I'm going to take a nap, or I'm going to like listen to some music, or I'm going to eat this like fruit pop. I don't know if like what you do
Yeah.
to like
Yeah, treat
make yourself feel better. But yeah, treat yourself nicely, but don't break your bank, because then you're not treating yourself.
Yeah.
But you know, like find a happy medium between that, and then try to unwind and relax. That is something I'm horrible at relaxing. I don't think I can do it. It's like impossible. Um, and that's why I have to get help from my husband. He helps me relax because, you know, he gives me hugs and he reads me stories. I know that sounds kind of like cheesy, but he has a really nice voice. It puts me to sleep. Not that it's boring, but it's just really relaxing. And so, like, I rely on him to help me relax, because that's something I cannot do by myself. And, you know, I think that everybody has, well, I'd like to think that, you know, there is at least one person
Who
or
believes in you.
one being that is there for you, even if you don't think that they are. Like, if you reach out for help, someone will be there, whether it's like a parent or a guardian, a friend, a pet, a teacher, or maybe like someone that you know, trust. I'd like to think that there is at least one person for everyone. Um, and I think that if you but even in then, if you don't have, like, you can't really think that you have that person, there are so many like groups and organizations that can help you with that. You know, they have numbers and flyers and all that, and they're open to hearing from people and helping out too. And so, you know, that's
and not only that,
no, I don't
you have
yeah.
the VA community. You have the VA community. You got Discord.
Yeah, definitely.
There's so much. There's so much. All right, let's go ahead and then answer. It's nearing our end, Michelle, and I'm so sad because I feel like we can talk for literally hours.
Cheers.
So let's do one last question, and then we can close off. And the last question is actually, was there? It was from Blue. He actually did a script read with us. He asked, was there
Which
a
was so
certain...
fun. Oh,
What were you gonna say?
I just want to say quick before we end, I'm sorry that I couldn't like speak to all of you who were reading individually, but you all did so great, and I was like, whoa! Like some people's performance, I was like, dang, I was like sad I didn't actually like get to read with you. I was like in one scene, I was like, I had 2 words, and I was like, dang it! Like, why can't I talk with these people?
Well, definitely, just so you know, you can come by anytime, and we're always doing script reads. We always do, and usually when we do our own groups, we can really get, you know, in it and like get super angsty, super into our characters. So definitely, if you ever have the time and you want to, you let me know, and I'll pick up a group for us. But let's just finish up this question. Blue asks, was there a certain VA that inspired you?
Yes, definitely. I think I touched on it a little bit, but Kira Buckland was my original inspiration for voice acting because I found a project that she was in, and that was posted on the voice acting Alliance forum. And I was like, oh wow! And then I really admire Sandy Fox, Cassandra Lee Morris. I'm losing his name in my head for some reason. What is his name? Oh my gosh, I'm drawing
That
a blank.
guy.
Scott Menville. Scott
There we go.
Menville is one of someone else that I really look up to. Xanthi Quinn. I really admire her performances. And then I could like name all of my friends who are voice actors that I look up to, and I'm like, you're awesome, but we'd be here all day because I basically admire them all. But
Aw.
yeah, well, because I love my friends. Like, I would not be able to do anything that I do if it wasn't for my friends and family, because they're there for me when I get all like, oh my god, I suck, and they're like, no, you don't. Stop it. Just
Exactly.
chill. Like,
Hey, that's
your
what we're
time will
here
come.
for.
Don't worry about it.
That's what we're here for. And actually, talking about time will come, I always bring this up because this is a huge thing. And right before we go, this is a huge, huge thing that happens always. And people say, Yenni or whoever's with me in guest night, they're always like, how is it that you deal with not getting work sometimes? And we actually had a guest tell us once that he didn't get work for 4 months straight after getting a great lead role with Funimation. He didn't get a role after that for 4 months, and it's something that's like,
That's pretty standard.
it's pretty standard. It happens, and I feel like a
Yeah.
lot of people think, when you get one, you get 20, and maybe you do, but after the 20, you might not get any for a while, and it's normal because this is the gig that we decided to, be a part of, and acting is more rejection
Yep.
than anything else, right?
I mean, like there's different schools of thought. I don't like to look at it as being rejected because that's more like of a personal kind of thing, because it's not personal at all. It could be
True.
like, even if the casting director likes you, it's totally up to the client to decide what they want the face of their product to be. So, you could be friends with all the engineers and the casting director, and if the client comes in and says, no, I want this person because I know who they are and I've worked with them before, they're great and they're really popular and that will be great for our brand, then you're not gonna get cast.
Right.
And that's not like cut and dry, but I mean, it's really up to the client to decide who gets cast and what. And at least for the main roles, the supporting cast, I think the casting director has a bit more say. But anyway, so I don't look at it as rejection because it's not personally me, but it is not being chosen. I guess that's the same thing, but it's a mind thing. I mean, it's just nuance, I guess. But
Right.
so that's the first step, is I try not to take it personally. Of course I get sad, and so I guess what I do is I cry, and then I feel better after a day or two, and I go, okay, that was fun. Okay, moving on. And then I just try to distract myself with things that I like. So singing or scrapbooking or hanging out with friends, listening to music, going for a walk, going over to my friend's house to pet her therapy cat who's so fluffy. His name's Binks. But Binks is so cute. The cat is so fluffy. He's like part Maine Coon. Anyway, I digress. I could talk about cats forever. But it's tough, and I think the important thing to remember is that even if you don't get a role, that's not a reflection of your self-worth. It just
Right.
means that you weren't picked, and that's as simple as it is. Maybe someone they already cast has a similar sound as you do with your voice, and they don't want that would be conflicting because it would be hard for the audience to tell who's who. Or maybe you sound younger than someone they've already cast and you need to sound the same age. Like, there's so many things that go into
Into getting
casting, and
picked.
so yeah, and so don't, well, I shouldn't say don't, because I get sad too if I don't get something, but try not to let it destroy you, I guess. Like, you can feel sad and let yourself feel the emotions, but don't let it destroy you and define, like, your self-worth or how good you are as an actor, because you know, like I said, I got something when I already, like, I was able to go into the studio, and I was very surprised because I, you know, had conditioned myself, okay, I'm not getting any roles for a whole year, and I'm prepared because that's how it is. And so when I got the first role, I was like, whoa, oh my gosh, wait, am I special? And it's like, no, you have to make sure that you remain humble and remember that just because you book something doesn't mean you're going to book forever. You
Right.
could book like 5 roles and then not get anything for a long time, or you could book a role here or once every month or something. Like, you know, that would be really good, by the way. If you book once a month, that's actually amazing. um but yeah, it's just something you gotta have, like perseverance, and you gotta kind of have, not necessarily be like, you know, like a tough sailor or anything, but you gotta have thick skin. You can't let things get you down, and like I said, don't let it destroy you, you know, because
Yeah.
if you're the type of person who gets your feelings hurt very easily, or feels like if you don't get something that you want, that you're not good enough, then this might be a very difficult into.
Mhm.
But that doesn't mean that you can't, because you can always, like, you know, toughen up and, you know, feel and realize that it's not you. And you can always do it for fun. There's no pressure if you do it for fun. You know,
Right.
it's just if you are like interested in being professional in like the LA market or Texas, and I think there's something in New York, but I'm not going that far. Not going up. That's halfway across the country. Um, then you know you can work on it. So don't give up. If this is something you really want to do, you know you're gonna have to work at it, but
Mhm.
go for it. Like, don't give up, because if you keep going, this is what I tell myself, is that if I keep going forward, I have to eventually move, because
Right.
logic.
It's understandable. It's understandable. And really quick, thank you for that amazing answer. Thank you for every answer that you've given us tonight. You've given us so much insight.
I'm just blibber blabbering. I'm
No, you have
totally
so
like
much
just
insight.
rambling.
So you're super super wise on this, and I totally appreciate
It's
it.
because I'm old. Yeah.
No, we're not that far apart. We know this. But honestly, I really do thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to go ahead and talk to me and talk to everybody here on Center Stage. Thank you so
Oh
much for
no,
script
it's
reading with
been
us.
really great.
Yeah, no, it's been really great having you, honestly. It's been such a pleasure. We hope to see you around soon. And definitely for anybody who wants to learn a little bit more about Michelle, you can definitely check out her Twitter and her website, which will be posted in the announcements section right where we talk about her. Michelle, if you want to go ahead and post all the links in regards to all the songs you've done and everything, you can go ahead and do that as well. And Michelle, I'm going to give the last few minutes for you to just give a final goodbye to everybody before we go.
Oh, cool. Well, first I want to say thanks for having me. I had a lot of fun. I'm actually, to be completely honest, I'm quite surprised that anyone would want to like talk to me. Like, not. I
Girl.
mean, wow, that's not good job, Michelle. Way to self-deprecate yourself. No, I mean like in this kind of environment to be like, oh, interview and question. It's actually quite surprising, and so I'm really appreciative of that. So thank you everyone for being interested in me. I guess. I mean that sounds kind of weird. But thank you for that. And oh, I guess I'll say one thing is that even if something seems really difficult and it's going to take a long time, which it might be, don't give up, because I had my YouTube channel for 10 years and it was at 1,000 subscribers for 10 years. Okay? So,
Oh.
so yeah, like, don't give up. You just got to keep going, because you never know when that opportunity is going to happen. But if you give up, then you won't have that opportunity. So just keep going and have fun. And yeah, keep doing what you love.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Michelle, again for stopping by. We truly appreciate you. We love you here in Discord. Thank you for everybody who stay tuned throughout Twitch. Again, I truly apologize for all of the technical difficulties we have. Michelle, thank you so much for staying with me through the technical difficulties.
Oh, no problem.
And well, guys, thank you so much. This was Center Stage Live, special guest night with Michelle Marie, and we'll talk to you soon, guys.
Goodbye.